nostrils fled, my breath coming hot and quick as sensation coursed through me. Frederick, I murmured. Frederick, intending only to encourage him to keep going. The sound of his name must have done something to him because he growled. His response. Everybody's growling lately in all romance books. All his formidable powers of speech seemed to have fled as he raised his free hand, come down and cupped my breast. He thumped through roughly at my nipple. Oh, I said, incapable of articulate speech. The soft velvet rubbed my skin, and pleasure coursing through my bloodstream. I want to taste you, he rasped, raising his head, his pupils were fat with desire as he continued thumping at my pink and straining nipples everywhere. So he said, I want to taste you everywhere. I've imagined this moment more often than is strictly decent. And then she says, Frederick, please. And he says, determined to take his time, he said, I've touched myself in my bathroom thinking of you just like this. He confessed against the sensitive skin behind mine, brightening. I've even gone to your bed in your dreams, in my dreams. His hand slid higher and higher until it reached my aching center. He cupped me gently, reverently. I nearly hacked off the bed with glowing, desperate need. Frederick, can I tell you what I want to do to you, or what I do in my dreams? Oh, I pant. Oh, please touch me. Perhaps I'll show you instead. He slid his larger hands down my body until he reached my hips. He left them there, gripping my flesh, spreading me open as his eyes feasted on my bare flesh. I shivered at how vulnerable this position left me. The hope and heated longing I saw in Patrick's eyes was almost too much to bear. You, he murmured against my inner tired nostrils flared as he breathed me in, are magnificent beyond my wildest imaginations. I love that part. I have actually tapped it. This is, you are magnificent beyond my wildest imaginations. I've done this a few times before, mostly with my college boyfriends, blah blah blah, blah 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 blah. But the moment Frederick buried his face between my legs, it was clear there was nothing in the world he would rather be doing than this. He tasted and licked, breathing me in as it took his sweet, deliberate time. My fingertips found butches on his shoulder and I clung to them for dear life as he slid his large hand down my Oh, indeed. He lifted his head and met my gaze. It's been over 100 years since I've been intimate with someone. I'm out of practice and I want you so badly. If you touch me, if we continue this, I don't know if I'll have the self-control to go without. Once I'm close to the end, he fell back onto the pillows and let out an anguished breath. I don't know if I can do this without hurting you. Suddenly, I had an idea. I know what I can do to help you stay in control. He cracked one eye open. What? Wordlessly, I began to undo the buttons of his jeans. Shh, what are you doing? It was so beautiful and vulnerable in that moment. I wanted to make him feel as good as he had just made me feel. This, I said, before leaning over and taking him into my mouth. I half expected him to protest again, but he didn't. When I glanced up as his face strode slacks and his eyes were glazed over in pleasure, he met my gaze with a reverence that made me eager to have him inside me, and soon. Is this okay? He murmured. God, it was beautiful. I snaked my hand around his body and squeezed his heart. He gave an inhuman groan. I felt more than hurt as whatever fragile grip it still had on his self-control snapped and fell away. Oh, fuck, he groaned. a shaky exhale, he slowly pulled out and then thrust back into me with so much force the headboard knocked against the wall. I slid my hands down his back, gripping the hard muscles beneath my feet as I tried to pull him even deeper inside me. Yes. Whatever the inflammation began to snap, his restraint snapped, and then he thrust his hips